Hello and welcome to episode 5 of The Taster. And today we're going to be looking at a couple of different examples of Chardonnay. And in particular, I'm going to be looking at unoaked Chardonnay. Now you'll remember, if you were looking last week, we were looking in some detail at the effect of oak aging on red Rioja. And so in complete contrast, this week we're going for the white wines and we're going to look at unoaked Chardonnay, as I say. Now, it's maybe slightly unusual in that perhaps Chardonnay is probably the white grape which is most associated with oak aging, both in the old and the new world. Now, if you were looking a few weeks ago, you would have. That's when we first encountered the Chardonnay, and we were looking at Jacob's Creek Chardonnay, and you'll remember that I said it was its spiritual home, its birthplace was in Burgundy in France. Well, today we've got an example of a white Burgundy, and the white Burgundy in question is a Chablis. So Chablis is actually a little pocket of Burgundy, which is some way north of the main Burgundy area, and Chablis almost always is unoaked. And what we're going to do is just compare that with an old world French wine, Chablis. We're going to compare that with another wine which is also unoaked, but this time from California. And they're both from 2009, they're both made out of Chardonnay, they're both unoaked. So really the only thing that is separating them, apart from the individual winemakers' methods and that sort of thing, is the country. So we've got French Old World Chardonnay in the Chablis, and we've got a American Californian New World unoaked Chardonnay here as well. This one, the New World one here, is a Chardonnay from Monterey County in California called Ocean Drive, 2009, and the Chablis that I have here is again 2009, Waitrose, in partnership with Cave des Vignerons de Chablis, and yes, so I'll pour them out and give them a sniff to begin with. Let's see what happens. So just having a look at this. Let's pour a little bit of that one out. And by the way, you'll notice that I'm in slightly different surroundings this week. I'm not at home this weekend, but the show must go on. So I've decided to take my film crew with me, and so here I am, continuing with the taster. And I don't actually have a white background right in front of me here today, as I normally do, which is slightly bad planning, but I think if I turn around I can see it. So just to compare the colours. And they're both a very pale, kind of pale yellow, not this sort of mid-golden kind of look or anything at all. And that's not very surprising, because one of the things which tends to give the colour to a white wine, is, well, it's both the aging and specifically aging in oak barrels. A lot of the time when you see a deep golden coloured wine, it'll be an older wine, and very often it'll have been oak aged. So both pale, can't really tell them apart to look at. Let's give them a sniff. And with this first one, I mean, very different to the Chardonnay I had it in front of me a few weeks ago, the Jacob's Creek. This one doesn't have any of that kind of buttery, vanilla-y essence coming out of the glass there. It's a very dry, a little bit of kind of lemony, citrusy scent coming off it, but fairly sort of closed. Nothing really jumps out. It's got quite a sort of elegant little kind of citrusy flavour, scent about it. And if I compare that to the New World one, let's see. And that's actually got much more of a perfume, if you like, on it. It's obviously, being unoaked again, it doesn't have any of that vanilla-y stuff, but it's kind of got a more ripe fruit kind of aroma coming off the top of it. And this time, it's still kind of citrusy, but maybe a few other things going on there, like peaches, that sort of thing. not that really full-on peaches and cream aroma and flavour which we got with the oak Chardonnays, certainly, but a little bit more, certainly more ripe fruit and kind of a peachy thing as well as the citrus. So let's give them a taste. Okay, and the first thing I'd say about that, the Chablis, it's extremely dry. It's pretty much bone dry. It's got lemon, kind of citrus, maybe a bit of grapefruit on the flavour, but it's bone dry, quite acidic. But it's not an overwhelming, overpowering kind of acidity. It's quite well balanced and integrated, and it's quite a pleasant drink. Swallowing it that time. And by the way, if you really want to taste a wine, just sloosh it around your mouth for a few seconds, and if you take in a little bit of air at the same time, you might get a few funny looks, but it really helps you to taste the wine as well. So I'll give that a go now here. And yeah, a bit of a Hannibal Lecter impression there, but yeah, it's got that kind of, it's very acidic, very minerally, dry. When I say minerally, it's kind of like a steely cleanness about it. So let's see how that compares with the New World Californian Chardonnay. Yeah, and it's just so much more fruity. It's got so much more sort of ripe fruit. It hasn't got that kind of steely, minerally quality that the Chablis got so much. It's less acidic. It's a little bit more. It's probably a little bit more alcoholic, which is unsurprising. That you would normally expect a California or Australian wine, you know, in general, to be a little bit more alcoholic than the French equivalent. It's got less acidity, more fruit, maybe a bit of pear, even peach and pear, as well as the kind of lemony undercurrent going on there. Again, of course, no vanilla or anything like that. And actually, I'd urge you, if you're one of those people, I've spoken to a few people in recent weeks actually who say they don't like Chardonnay. Well, for one thing, they're not always aware that Chablis Chardonnay, because it's so different from those sometimes over-oaked Californian kind of wines that they may have tasted, and even the Aussie ones, you know, sometimes they're very sort of creamy, luscious kind of wines, and this is a world apart, and it's, you know, you might even be surprised it's the same grape, but obviously it is the same grape. So comparing them, I think they're both very nice, but they're both very dry. As I say, this one's a bit fruitier. This one's more alcoholic, slightly less dry. It's more, I wouldn't say sweet, but it's kind of got more of a honeyed kind of aroma and flavour on it. And certainly more of a kind of ripe fruit thing going on there. Both lovely wines. At the same time, I wouldn't say either of them are particularly spectacular. Probably buy them again. As far as ratings are concerned, out of 20, I'd give the Chablis here about a 16. And if pushed, I'd probably prefer to drink the New World one in this particular example. So I'm going to give that, 17 sounds a bit high, so I'm going to give it a 16.5. So get yourself a couple of bottles of Chardonnay, do the comparison yourself, see the difference between the old and the New World, and especially give it another go. If you don't think you like Chardonnay, try an unoaked Chardonnay and see if you like that. Anyway, that's all from me for today. Thank you very much for watching, and do check out the website anytime and check my blog www.thetaster.co.uk. Goodbye.